Hi guys, my name is Anastasia and welcome to my London vlog. Of course, starting the day with this crazy one. In the last few days in London, it was just such a crazy heat wave. Everybody's too hot, it's like 30 degrees. It's like the cutest little car for just one person. Or maybe like a person and a Lola. Look, I'm not lying, it's already 27. It will be 31 later today. And then tomorrow, Tuesday 29, Wednesday 29, Thursday 29. I do have to say it's quite a hard job to try on leggings when it's super hot outside, so you come in the changing room, you're like swollen, sweaty, and it's such a pain to put them on. But anyway, I tried them on. These were very cool leggings, I love the color, but the mesh was a bit funky on the side, so I didn't get them in the end. And I also tried the black ones, which were also on sale, but they didn't fit me on the back. As you can see, not enough room for my bum. And they were a bit sheer, so I didn't get them either, but I got another top, which I'll share with you soon. Made some super refreshing lemon water, which you put a whole lemon, squeeze it before you actually place it, and then a bunch of ice, and then put it in the fridge. I always see all the American fitness YouTubers trying this energy drink Monster and having it all the time. I really don't like usually energy drinks, but gonna try and see how it's like. 2 calories per 100 milliliters, literally 1 gram of carb, 0 everything else. Oh my god, it's so good. It's sweet. And in terms of caffeine, it has 30 milligrams per 100 milliliters, which means this is 500 milliliters, so it has 150 milligrams of caffeine. It's actually funny because sometimes when you buy coffee, like let's say this instant coffee, it doesn't actually say amount of caffeine it has per recommended teaspoon. Neither do these capsules, the latte macchiato, the ones you use for like type espresso machines. So you don't actually know how much caffeine you're consuming. So right now I've had probably like a third of Monster and I feel very different. I feel like alert. And Matt is laughing at me because he doesn't think it's true. But really I do feel it. So now I'm gonna try to do some research about how much caffeine a coffee has, a usual one, or like a Starbucks. So apparently grounded latte of Starbucks that I usually has 150 milligrams of caffeine, which is the same as having this, but why then do I feel different now? So project of the day, trying to estimate how many milligrams of caffeine I usually have a day. Probably about 500, I'm thinking. Because if I have 2 grande Starbucks a day, maybe, maybe not. And then I definitely have some at home, and yeah, a lot of caffeine. Okay, another fact, instant coffee, if you put 1 teaspoon, it has 57 milligrams of caffeine.
So the lighter the roast, the more caffeine. The darker the roast, the less caffeine there is. You lose caffeine in that roasting process.
Feeling super sweaty and gross, and I'm having a little berries. Well, 300 grams of berries, blackberries and blueberries, and some yogurt. Today I wanted to talk to you about food volume, calorie densities. I'm actually surprised with fruit. I thought there would be more.
Fruit's very sugary though, remember.
Oh, this is 60 carbs as well.
It's quite a lot of volume though for 60.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Actually, thought. Well, I guess berries are quite low, so. Oh, it's It's not beans, the bottom one, but more or less. Veg. I actually thought beans are more carby. And all these vegetables are 20 carbs, so you need triple amount for 60.
Wow.
Mushrooms are pretty much empty as well. Hungry. And the difference between carb content in different food products, because some foods are very carb dense and some foods are very low carb dense, which means you can have a little bit of something or a lot of something else. Just to give you a rough idea, these all things have 60 grams of carb in each. Of course, the top one, the lowest in volume, are our dear Haribos that people love to have in the cinema. And if you imagine just this little thing has 60 grams of carbs compared to, let's say, 133 grams of uncooked pasta, which will probably double the size when it's cooked, or a bunch of rice cakes, 1.5 bagels, even digestive biscuits are more solid. Of course, we have a lot of potatoes, a lot of fruit, baked beans, and all these batch vegetables, including mushrooms, tomatoes, cucumber, kale, spinach, and a bit of beans. All of this equals 20 grams of carbs. So if you triple the amount, can you imagine like a big volume? It would be the same as this. So where do you think you would feel more full? But high food volume really comes in handy whenever you're dieting because it helps you to feel full, kills cravings, and just keeps you more satisfied. And what is really volume food? Usually it's considered something that is very healthy, usually vegetables, and that have very low calories. More vegetables than fruits, because usually watery vegetables have less calories than watery fruits, let's say. So for example, berries would have more carbs and sugar than cucumber, of course. The best high volume foods are vegetables, especially spinach, kale, anything that's very leafy and just voluminous, and you can have a lot of it and feel extremely full. For example, if you eat 2 bags of this, and the total weight for these two would be 420 grams, you would have so little calories that is just laughable. And at the same time, you'll get a lot of vitamins and minerals. The bottom line is this: you can eat so many Haribos in one go, but you really cannot eat 2 kilograms of vegetables in one go. So high volume food really plays such a crucial role in dieting, because there is always a stereotype, oh, people who are losing fat or who are dieting always feel hungry. Yes, sometimes you feel hungry, of course, especially when it comes to sugar craving, or when you're cutting out a lot of food groups, a lot of things that you usually eat. It's always difficult to adjust to new flavors, to new tastes. That's why I feel like it's always nicer to incorporate those things in the first place before you try to diet. So slowly and surely try to substitute high volume, low calorie, something green. Things are very watery, like courgettes, tomatoes, and cucumbers have very low calories, as well as very hydrating and just good for you. Second term you might always hear in the fitness industry, that's called calorie density. It means similar thing to high volume food, but what it means is that something that's very small and has a lot of calories. For example, things like butter, cheese, chocolate, you know, most sugary things, they have also not just high carbs but also high fat. And the worst thing about eating high fat and high carbs at the same time, that it's pretty much guaranteed to reflect on your body is fat. So whenever you're dieting, try to do protein and carbs or protein and fat, but never carbs and fat together, because that's just a recipe for disaster. And that is another reason why you see a lot of people who are doing diets, they either do low fat and high carb, or like I did very low carb, pretty much no carb for my bikini preps, and higher fat, just because you have limited amount of calories, and depending on your preference, you can distribute them to different macronutrients like protein, carbs, and fats, however you like, or however your coach is telling you to. At the same time, foods that are very high in calories and very dense and take very little volume are great for people who are trying to put on weight, because some people, especially when it comes to muscle building or just eating more or just putting on healthier fats, some people really struggle or don't have high appetite. And this is again the beauty of being a human being, because we are all so different and so many different things work for different people. And of course, nobody likes the same vegetables, and there are so many more vegetables you can try. I'm a huge advocate for counting your food, for counting your calories, for counting your macros, especially when you have a strict goal in mind like fat loss or muscle gain. And this is the reason why we have all these numbers on the back of everything we buy. Even when you buy kale, it does say clearly that 100 grams of kale have 40 calories, has 1 fat, has 1 carb, and has 3 protein. All information about nutrients and how much fat and how much carbs and how much protein is there, it's written for you. It's all about educating yourself and realizing that things that are written on the packet with simple maths, or even using calculator if you want to, and having a little kitchen scale in your home really helps you to just understand what are you eating and why you're looking a certain way. As well, download my MyFitnessPal app, because there is even simpler. All you need to do is just scan the barcode of any product and most of the foods are there because other people have entered information. And depending on your goals, you can really be creative and choose the food you like, higher calories, lower calories. For example, you can have a massive spinach salad with a few nuts, because nuts of course high in calories, or you can have, I don't know, plain chicken breast and plain steamed vegetables. So it's up to you to really play with those and see how your body reacts. But as long as it's whole foods and nothing too processed, you will be completely fine. Again, just try to track your calories if you're in the very beginning stages of learning about nutrition, and go from there, because it's always nice to know what exactly you're eating. I was talking to my boyfriend the other day about feeding my dog, and that there are usually strict guidelines of this is how much the dog needs, of this size, of these grams. And yes, we are as humans, we do have nutritional guidelines by our governments, but it's never really that accurate, and you know, it's very difficult to determine what you're eating, especially when you're going out to restaurants, even though some restaurants nowadays, they do right amount of micronutrients and calories per dish. But to make dishes tastier, we have to be honest that they put more butter, more oil, you know, extra sugar. You never really know truly what goes in your food. Your body doesn't care if it's 60 grams of carbs from Haribo's or if it's 60 grams of carbs from 2 kilograms of vegetables. It's the same thing. It's the total amount of carbohydrates and total amounts of calories that will translate into fat gain when you're eating more than you're burning. And this leads to flexible dieting, is when people get set amount of calories per day, certain amounts of fats, carbs and proteins, and then it's up to them to play around and choose food they like, just as long as the numbers add up in the end of the day. And sometimes it's actually nice, because whenever you're on prep, for example on bikini diet, or whenever you're trying to lose fat, it's nice to sometimes sneak something in that you don't consider super healthy. Maybe a bit of ice cream, a bit of chocolate, but if you have just a small amount, and of course you calculate everything you're eating, you can have the rest of the day clean, but you'll have more satisfaction and less stress about, oh my god, I can't have chocolate, oh my god, I can't have ice creams. So I'm definitely a huge believer in flexible dieting, but of course be responsible and make sure that 90% of your diet do come from whole foods. I hope this video was a little bit helpful. Let me know if you have any questions at all, and I'll see you next time.